So do I mention that?
Yeah, just say we'll table the approval
Oh,
Oh, I didn't know that.
oh, good, that's really good. It's inconvenient, but that's really good, yes. And then we come back together January 8th, yes? No. January 8th. What? Oh,
That's all industrial.
you were away last year for Christmas, right? It was 2 years ago you did this. Imagine how fast that went?
Yeah, I left the 17th last year.
Wow.
Plus, this school, no, school is in
Seems like
R one zone.
I bet.
School is in R one zone, yeah.
But they have.
So, that's why we're just looking at it, just, somebody starts asking questions, so.
Is that your guess? No.
It's just this.
So like in DC two, train station, noises have not exceeded as I drive by.
At dark and dark. It's his daughter's home.
Oh.
There's a picture of the shingles. I've been in Stockholm, they have everything down, and when it's dark out, it's this low. So I want to get it dark. There's a St. Petersburg. And just reached multiple schools. Oh, shit. Going to the Boston. Oh, wow.
My son was just in Oslo, Norway, port call on the Harry S. Truman. He said,
Beautiful place.
and this past week,
He
they
just
were,
went to Gibraltar, you see across the street.
well, this past week, they were in Marseille, France,
This is here.
for a couple of days.
This is here, yeah.
No, he's there.
He's steaming south in the Mediterranean, towards the Red Sea.
Yes.
Hard to imagine.
And I was sitting at my house watching them go by.
They just made him an LSO. Guy stands on the carrier with the paddles, tells the guys that are landing the jets.
Landing safety officer,
Higher,
right?
low.
How high is your fence?
Sound the time was
What would the military be without acronyms?
There was another one.
yeah, when he's not flying, he's doing LSO.
When he refers to divided, I guess it's always one city.
Everybody's got a different shirt.
Divided, I would think, in half.
All the recruits.
Anyway, yeah.
I don't know if that's Holly or not, but it's something like that.
Ready, set, gentlemen?
Oh, that's how you are.
That's the kid.
I used to have hostile.
This is a formal session of the Waldwick Planning Board. Regularly scheduled meeting for which the date, time, and location is set forth in the annual notice of meetings adopted by the Waldwick Planning Board at the reorganization meeting of January 2024. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, said annual notice has been filed with the Borough Clerk, a copy posted in the vestibule of the Waldwick Administration Building, and copies transmitted within 7 days after adoption to the official newspapers of the borough as designated by the governing body, to wit, the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. We are looking for a roll call, please.
Ms. Badalamenti.
Here.
Mayor Giordano.
Here.
Mr. Schatz.
Here.
Mr. Ramundo. Mr. Kowalski.
Here.
Mr. Misselwick.
Here.
Mr. Orovitz.
Here.
Mr. Basilico.
Here.
Mr. Canfile. Mr. Gribort.
Here.
All rise for a moment of silent prayer and the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. If anyone in the public has business that is not on the agenda, you are welcome to come forward. Seeing none. We're up to our minutes, approval of minutes from November 6. Everyone has printed copies. We are tabling the work session minutes until our January 8 meeting. May I have a motion to approve as written by John and second by Stan? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have resolutions for Thomas, 11 Highwood Avenue, Block 7, Lot 86, Soil Movement Resolution. You all have copies of that as well. Motion to dispense the reading by Paul Schatz, second by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Badalamenti.
Yes.
Mayor Giordano.
Yes.
Mr. Schatz.
Here.
Mr. Kowalski.
Yes.
Mr. Misselwick.
Yes.
Mr. Orovitz.
Yes.
Mr. Basilico.
Yes.
Mr. Gribort.
Yes.
this evening? We have none. Any old business that we can talk about? Other than all of us, sorry.
Was that vote on both the resolution and the waiving the reading?
Yes. Tabling until January 8th, yes.
Cool.
No old business. New business is the review of ordinance 2024-33, 37-49 Harrison Ave, and 13 West Prospect Street redevelopment area. Block 107, lots 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Madam
We
Chair,
are-
I have to recuse myself from this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are continuing from our work session. Has anyone thought of or would like to add any comments on the board? I think yes, Joe.
I read Cliff's brief that we proposed to send to the mayor and council.
Yes,
I thought it was an excellent summation of what we discussed. I thought it was precise and well worded,
agree.
and I'd like to thank Cliff for sending this. And I wholeheartedly agree with all the facts stated in this document.
Thank you, Joe.
Just so that we're clear, it only goes out if the board so desires.
I second Joe's position.
Anyone else? Yes, I think Cliff got it all covered. He takes good notes. And,
Tries.
yeah, no, and we appreciate that.
He writes well, too.
Yeah, he writes well.
And it's not good.
So we decide, or we vote, if this will go to
Mayor and council.
mayor and council. So everybody has read the
No,
letter.
I'm reading right now.
Oh, okay, so we'll give Paul Schatz a couple of
I
minutes.
wasn't here at the, I wasn't
No
here
problem.
I wasn't at the work.
No problem, we just got it. Take your time.
Is there comments from the public tonight?
Yeah.
Not the woman, okay.
Yeah,
Should-
are we
should
ready
take-
for
should
that?
Take those before we vote on the letter.
Oh, okay. So members of the public would like to comment first. And then we would have questions or
Other way
anything.
around.
Questions first, then comments. Yes,
Jim Schultz, 52 Harrison Avenue. First
Schultz,
question
you're
would be...
still
could-
under oath, all right?
Yes, I am, sir, thank you. Can we get a copy of Cliff's letter?
I think it becomes public record
It becomes
at some
public
point.
record when it's sent.
When it's sent?
As far as it goes, there was at the work session, we went and basically defined the issues for the benefit of the public very quickly, without getting into the actual verbiage. The first point that is made is that the standard ultimately is whether or not the proposed redevelopment is consistent with both the letter and the intention of Waldo's master plan as it has been updated to this point. And the conclusion that this letter reaches is that yes, in that regard, it's absolutely consistent with the master plan, particularly insofar as it seeks to upgrade the downtown area. That being said, it then lays out a number of concerns that have been put forward by the board in its discussions. In that regard, one point was that it seems odd that this redevelopment plan proposal, being the first, seems to deal with a section of the area, the whole tract for redevelopment, that was the least problematic. insofar as it doesn't address the intersection of Franklin Turnpike and Prospect Street, which is obviously the very center of town, and the Rite Aid and its expensive parking lot being of questionable utility. The days of it being a path marker long since gone, and that was the type of use that it was designed for. It goes on to suggest that there's a concern about the volume of residential and commercial space being proposed for that area, along with the fact that parking being problematic in the downtown area in general, even though this does propose 81 spaces, based upon the uses and the size of those uses, if everything is built, that's about 53% short of what our code would require for those uses. It also goes on to talk about the fact that the board was directed towards the Vale in Allendale and Hohokus Crossing, both of which are these taller residential uses. The Hohokus Crossing being the type of mixed use that this is, that is to say, both retail and residential. In this, the residential is both apartments and townhomes. And the commentary by the board was that those things look awfully big compared to what we have in Waldwick. And therefore, there's a concern that to the extent that that the board was given something to look at, what it was looking at seemed to be very large in comparison to what the eye of anyone who lives in this town is used to. And the question is it to the point where it's just too big? In that regard, there seemed to be a fair amount of members who went with the idea that going 4 stories is not something they were comfortable with. Obviously, there are arguments for and against, and there are arguments in terms of the way the buildings are supposed to be laid out. But again, there is concern that that just doesn't necessarily cut it. There was concern that the Hare Cottage, which is now in what many of the old-timers know as the old Sharon Kwan building, it's sort of sitting there, and it neither fits in nor is being particularly helped by any of the development around it. And that goes for parking, given the fact that the space upon which the old Hare Cottage stood is now an empty lot, and of course can be parked on because it's gravel, but that goes away. Again, there was concern about the fact that the most prominent corner in the borough, after all, that's where we put the clock, is not being addressed. There is a feeling that's been expressed that the matter is being rushed. I've been given information suggesting that that may not be the case, but it's a question of when people become aware of what. And so the record will reflect what the record reflects in terms of that. And again, there was concern about who exactly is behind this and how are they qualified to do it. Anytime you have a project of this magnitude, you start wondering whether you're going to have a small version of the American dream over in the Meadowlands, which is the last thing any town would want. I'm sure Secaucus is not happy with their decision. That editorial comment. It does not necessarily reflect the views of anyone other than me and everyone else in Jersey.
You're allowed.
That's a disclaimer.
Anyway, those are the main points of the letter.
Okay. I mean, I just have a couple questions, and if, maybe I have to go to the council meeting, because I don't know if they should be answered here. I went through the records, and it looks like there's $200,000 in taxes those lots pay. And whoever did the study, they did a very nice job. Both handouts were very good. Was there any environmental or financial study done? So the $200,000 we collect in taxes, are we gonna get that back? Or what, because I'm looking, I didn't see anything from a financial side. And the first thing I'm saying is, there's 5 residential houses there. Maybe there's 25, 30 people living in them. If we go from 30 to 200, it's extra sewage, extra garbage, extra education. So I'm not sure, did anybody do a financial impact of this in the borough?
That unfortunately is not before us. Now, in any type of redevelopment situation, that is something that's considered. However, what you often wind up with in that situation, and I can't speak to whether that's the case or not, and that's a question that needs to be raised at the council level.
Okay.
There's a pilot, which stands for payment in lieu of taxes. It's a financial arrangement that is reached between the developer and the municipality, whereby they in essence become partners in the project financially in terms of revenue to the town. And so how that is structured and what the exact numbers are for the percentages, that is not on the table before the planning board at this point.
Okay, because I would just hope that it's not a negative. I'm hoping if there's 200 people that live there and there's 100 children, and now the cost of education goes up, and we look at this and saying, we're gonna incur a loss every year, and by loss, I mean our taxes go up because we have to cover the additional sewage fee
Again,
and garbage,
for
so
what-
I,
For what it's worth, Mr. Schultz, this isn't the right forum.
okay, understood.
I certainly understand your concerns.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that's not within the purview of
Okay.
this board.
When I read through the study, and maybe I was just reading into this, when I read some of the summaries, they were like, this house is in disrepair, this was in disrepair, and I said to myself, you know what, is this something that just happened? And then I got to where they talked about lots 9 and 10, and it's been a parking lot since 2015. And I'm saying, if it wasn't designed for parking in 2015, why are we worried about it in 2024? Why wasn't something done in 2015? So, the wrong meeting?
No, it's, ultimately, when you're talking about redevelopment occurs when there is a long-standing condition. As a practical matter, if something falls into disrepair, are you gonna jump on it in a year and say, okay, we gotta redevelop the whole area? The answer to that, of course, would be no. That would be reckless and insane. And so, anytime you're dealing with redevelopment, you're looking at long-standing conditions. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Irrespective of where you go, in the case law, we'll talk about buildings that become, as the saying goes, inutile. That is, they're no longer valid for any use in the modern world. And so you either figure out something to do with them, how to repurpose them, or you wind up redeveloping the area. Because at some point, buildings that are not generating the revenue or providing the habitat that is needed, they're gonna wind up being abandoned. And that's what you're trying to catch it before you get to that point.
And I'm happy you mentioned a couple things, Cliff. So in this goal of redevelopment plan, it says, provide land uses that support Waldwick Central Business District and take advantage of a transit-oriented location. So I said to myself, there's a lot of people working from home. I usually walk by the train station, I run by it. that lot's never more than 50% full.
That's supposed to change in 2025. Everybody's supposed to go back to the office.
Okay, so, but if we're basing this study that everybody's supposed to do something, is New Jersey Transit planning on doing something that everybody says, oh, I'm gonna go to Waldwick and use these parking lots and use that train station?
As a practical matter, the level of lot usage isn't necessarily an indicia of how attractive living near the train is or isn't. Because after all, I know enough people on my, look, it's all anecdotal, right?
Yep.
I know enough people on my block, you know where I am, I'm up the damn hill. And over the erector set. And got guys on my street who walk to the train every day. So that the value of the train is that it lets families run one car if they wish. Or at least you don't have to take it to the station, because after all, you gotta pay for parking.
Mhm.
So that's the value of a tight-knit community.
I mean, it caught my eye to say, I hope we're not, if we're gonna build a case to say that that's part of the redevelopment program because we're a train station,
Well, if-
and that's gonna attract people, and businesses.
I think what the studies are showing is that that is something that works. It's been, the truth is, it's happening in town
Yep.
after town after town after town, that they're building around the train station. Look at the old Lincoln dealer in Ridgewood,
Mhm.
right?
Different community, though.
Huh?
It's a different community.
Well, it is and it isn't. Yeah, it's a more affluent community. I know that's where you're going.
Little larger.
But the truth of the matter is that that train has always been utilized, that station has always been utilized in
That's why I
Ridgewood.
came to Walpole.
And, I'm sorry?
That's why I bought my house in Walpole. It's the train.
Cliff,
Yep.
it's also, you're pointing out, you're saying the lot's not being used, but there's a waiting list to get on that lot. So people aren't using it, but they're still paying for the parking of it. So and there's a waiting list. to
Oh,
get
I
on
agree,
that.
but when I walk by and run by it, it's 25% full. And when I look at all I'm saying is, when I look at the redevelopment plan, if we're saying we're gonna build this strip mall and put these houses, and the train station's gonna be a reason why people move there, I'm kinda hoping that you have another reason other than that, because then I go through it even further and says, oh, it's gonna be eligible for low and moderate income. So I say, okay, low and moderate income, are they using the train station to go to the city? I don't know.
Well,
I'm just concerned that, that's one of the four reasons.
The train doesn't only go to the city.
Oh, yep, understood.
And, hell, on bad weather days, my wife used to ride the train to Ridgewood.
Yep,
You know, the train is a worthwhile thing.
yep.
And it's an asset that the community has. And I can see the point of the development study saying, you know, maximize your strengths. That's a strength.
And Cliff, I know you addressed this in your letter, which was good, because in the master plan, it says, encourage compatible land use development while maintaining the residential character of the borough. And I'm glad you mentioned the Vale and Allendale, because that sits on West Crescent, and it only
Yeah.
borders one residential street. And the one meeting I came to, I think they were talking about going 50, you mentioned 40. I don't think that works with while maintaining the residential character of the borough where it is. So I'm gonna make that a question, because I can't comment now, so I don't want to, with that. As far as the affordable housing, okay, I'll have to go to another meeting to ask what the low and moderate income is. The last question I have is,
Well, just so you're aware,
Yeah.
there's a whole new round of affordable housing. And every town is getting socked by it.
Yeah.
We don't know in Waldwick yet what we may or may not be able to negotiate. But right now, I think the number is something like 180, 190 that we are being told we're responsible for. And so, you know, that's part of our reality.
okay. And the last question I have is, I know at the last meeting I asked, how was that area selected? I know up on Crescent Avenue, there's a house, 103 Crescent Ave, that I think had a fire in it 8 or 9 years ago. And I was reading the criteria, I think it was A through H, dilapidated. So that house has probably been there for 8 years. It's boarded up, it's got cars on the front lawn. I doubt anybody lives in it, because you shouldn't be living in it. The lot next to it, 99, is vacant. So after reading through this, I'm guessing that's the next proposal you're gonna be looking at to revitalize that area. Because it's probably been 8 years that thing sits there. And if we're talking about something dilapidated, boarded windows, cars on the front lawn.
That would be the Baldy property.
All right, you know what, Joe, thank you. I didn't want to mention Oscar's name. But, so, as we're looking to redevelop things in Waldwick, that's 2 nice parcels of land, you might want to look at that.
I agree, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you.
But of course, the other possibility for something like that is that because of its location, it could easily wind up being something that a builder wants to get their hands on. And my recollection is, and I could be wrong about this, but the property next door to it, I think you got a lot of wetlands issues there.
Oh, because it floods, whenever it rains, I go by it, it's flooded, and so
Yeah,
it's
that
nice.
tends to be problematic.
Yep. But, thank you, and again, I tell the associates that did the presentation, they did a nice job, except for the financial piece, which will be interesting.
Thank you. Anyone else? Paul?
I got to read it. I think it's very accurate. It is, brings up all the points. I think it's still a good idea to do this, but then again, if you want to point me towards the Hohokus, that's a massive thing.
Right.
And I don't think it fits in the middle of Hohokus, but if you make this a little bit smaller, and I certainly think we should be redeveloping it, I definitely agree with that.
Right.
But the height is one of my biggest problems, and also, now that I read this, also the parking is gonna, and the.
Couple of things.
Why is that thing just sitting, why is it staying there? Why aren't they developing that? I mean, and
What, that?
The cottage
Oh.
building, yeah.
Right, that's not part of this redevelopment. Maybe it'll be part of another redevelopment.
So, but I do agree with the letter in its entirety, so.
It looks nice with fresh paint.
Reveille owns that lot. I think so.
We're good? Now we can ask the public if they have.
Any comments?
Anyone in the public have comments? Thank you. Seeing none. I think we can vote for
Vote
the,
on whether to send it as is, or whether it needs to be changed.
I think we all agree that the letter is prepared just the way we think it should be, right? So we'll have a motion to send the letter to the mayor and council as is. Motion by Paul P. and John V. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We need a roll, yes?
Ms. Badalamenti?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Kowalski?
Yes.
Mr. Misselwick?
No.
Mr. Orovitz?
Yes.
Mr. Basilico?
Yes.
Mr. Verworth?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I don't think we have anything else. Mayor, you have anything for us?
Yeah, some of you will get letters renewing you, some of you might get letters saying, thank you very much,
Thank you, and bye-bye.
bye. But, your time is up on the board, you will get an email from me telling you to, welcome back again. I don't think there'll be any movement, we are bringing a new person in. I gave the name to Joyce, she's gonna, Hackett what he has to do. He's taking the place of John Cabivo. So we'll probably have Corey move up, and then John, the new person will be alternate number 2.
Very good.
And for you to know, so that Joyce doesn't have to send you the letter, since we do not have a attorney for the zoning board, Joyce and I talked a little bit, and we asked Cliff if he could do both, and he said he will.
Oh,
So Cliff will be working on the planning board and also the zoning board as an attorney. He doesn't.
That whole sleeving,
Just give
it's
him
so
a while.
overrated.
Sorry, Cliff.
ah,
That's it.
thank you very much. We want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year,
Absolutely.
Sure.
good health to everyone and their families. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, public, whoever showed, and all that don't show.
Mr. Mayor and Adele, our next meeting is
January
January
8th.
8th. It's not the first Wednesday.
I hope not, that would be the first,
New Year's.
Yeah, well,
right?
yeah, well, that's
No.
what I'm saying. Just
You gonna
make
be
sure-
here New Year's?
No,
You gonna be
No.
here New Year's?
No, I'll be here. I'm not gonna be here if it's on
Just
first.
ring the bell
No.
at midnight.
no,
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
very good. Thanks, everyone, we are adjourned.